McCartney is in a great place in his solo career right now, deservedly so, but that hasn't always been the case. I remember in the early 1970s when everybody thought that Paul had broken up the Beatles, and I remember reading those teen magazines saying that Paul was this bad guy, and I sort of bought into that, and maybe that's why the critics panned the Ram and McCartney albums. And even though I loved Every Night, Another Day, Maybe I'm Amazed, etc., I just never bought the albums. I had a complex relationship with Paul McCartney back in the day. But when this album came out, like Band on the Run, it was no longer complicated. I was in love. I love this album. I played it all the time. I still have an emotional connection to this album. And no matter what Paul does in the future, this is always going to be my favorite album. And, these days, in hindsight, people look back on Ram and McCartney and they look at them as masterpieces. And when I look back on those albums, I see Paul like reinventing himself, reestablishing himself as an artist, making a statement. He's playing around and he's experimenting. He's just not looking back. And that reminds me of this interview I heard him give. I think it was from a few years ago. He was talking about some of his past like solo work. And he's saying, they were asking him like, okay, what about this and what about this? And Paul was saying, I don't really remember. I don't remember. And you know why? It's because I'm always looking forward. It's like I've been there and I've done that. And now I'm looking forward. And that's Paul. I think that's Paul's secret to not just staying young, but I think that's Paul's secret to his genius, to his inventiveness, because he's always asking questions. He's always exploring. And that's what I think he was doing with Ram and McCartney. Paul was asking questions, he was exploring, and sometimes he would answer himself in this genius, new music. He's like creating something new and not looking back. That I think is the hallmark of Paul's career. And even with his latest album, The Boys of Dungeon Lane, and I got to tell you, Paul was probably wondering, like, am I going to meet everybody's expectations? Because when you're always reinventing yourself, creating something new, which was probably something that was easier to do when you were younger, okay, and not so many like miles under your belt, it was probably easier to do back then, okay, maybe. And now it's a little bit more difficult, difficult to not just please yourself, but to please the critics, etc., and to create something new and something interesting, to have something new to say. That's what all artists are looking for. I want to say something new. I want to say something relevant. I'm always searching. I'm asking these questions. And do we see that with this album, The Boys of Dungeon Lane? Maybe it's going to take a while for us to actually see that. Maybe it's going to take a few years for us to look back and say, now I understand what Paul was doing with this, just like everybody looks back on Ram and McCartney and probably some of his other albums and saying, oh my God, like those were genius. Like I get it now. I get it. It takes a long time for people to catch up to Paul, because Paul is that rolling stone. He's always on the move, like doing something different. He's that guy, like always a couple steps ahead of us. Okay, right now with me, there's two things that stand out for me, on that album, okay? Like number one, it's a lot of fun. That album is just a pleasure. It's a joy. Like this is Paul. I don't know if he's creating something new or just putting a lot of different funs together, but I really think this is Paul, like enjoying himself, having a great conversation with us. It's a pleasure, that album. I just love how it feels. I love how it sounds. I can't get it out of my head. For right now, I just can't get enough of it. And the other thing I think is, Paul did reinvent himself somewhat with his vocals. Paul leaned into those vocals, and so in a lot of ways they're audacious, and they're bold, and they're inventive, and they're genius, and they're cheeky, and it's all Paul. I think Paul really shows us who he is on this album, and maybe we're too close to it to see. I don't know. Maybe it's going to take some time for us to really see the whole thing. Who knows? I don't know. I can't say. This is just me talking right now. I don't know. All I can say is I really like the album, and I really think that the best thing about the album is Paul's vocals. Now, do I love it more than Bound on the... No, I already answered that question. I don't. But do I think that Paul is once again making a statement? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. And do I love what he's saying? Yeah, I love what he's saying. Absolutely, I do. And I don't think it has to get any more complicated than that. Just like I love Band on the Run, and I listened to it over and over again because I love all the sounds. I loved a lot of the songs. They were all different. It was just enjoyable. It was like I was on a trip, man. It was like I was on a joyride. And there's something new around every corner. Now, I do think that Boys of Dungeon Lane, sort of like that. It's a lot of layers. There's something different here and there. I mean, it's a pleasure. And that's what I love about Bound on the Run. It just feels good and it sounds good. And I've got this emotional connection to it. And now have I got a little bit of an emotional connection to Boys of Dungeon Lane? Yeah, I kind of do. Yeah, I kind of do. Absolutely. And for me, like, that's enough. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really and truly appreciate it. And until next time, peace and love one another. Take care. And happy birthday, Sir Paul. Paul McCartney is sitting pretty right now. He's always got that twinkle in his eye. And who knows what's going to be happening in the future.